Hey everybody, it's You Had to Ask, the show where I answer your questions. And this week's first question is on a subject that we touched on last week. And the question actually comes from my pal SiriusMined, who asks, I understand not liking high fantasy, but I was surprised to hear you say stupid. What about it feels stupid to you? Just curious. And not just this question, but several questions and comments had to do with my dislike of high fantasy and of Lord of the Rings and that sort of thing. Ragdoll Ralph and Poor Cicero also asked whether or not there were any exceptions to my dislike of high fantasy. And also they asked if I had ever seen or read Game of Thrones. And the answer to that last one is no. I've never watched Game of Thrones. I've never read any of that. I've never been interested in it, again, because of my distaste for high fantasy. And I really don't think there are any exceptions. I can't think of any. And as for why I think it's stupid, there's just something about the milieu of high fantasy, about the voice of lots of high fantasy, the sort of the elevated, pretentious way in which a lot of the stories are told and written. And I can hear some of you guys already saying, well, what about, this, and this? That's not like, I mean, I'm sure if you're well read in the genre and you're a fan of it, I'm sure that you recognize these criticisms that I'm throwing out as an uninitiated person who just doesn't like it, and I'm sure you can point to exceptions to all these things. But it just comes down to, it's just something I just don't, I find it silly, and not in a good way. I find it silly in a, oh, okay, I don't want to bother with that kind of way. And it's purely a matter of taste. As with everything, really, in terms of how you respond to art and what you like and dislike, purely a matter of taste. It's just not my thing. There are plenty of things that I do like that I know you could draw parallels to high fantasy. You could say, well, if you think that, elves and wizards and quests and all that stuff in high fantasy is stupid, then how can you like the Harry Potter movies, or how can you like comic book superheroes, or all, I mean, and I acknowledge that, but it's just a matter of taste. I just don't dig high fantasy, and I never really have. I find it silly, I find it stupid, and most importantly, really, I mean, I know stupid is sort of the word that I used last week, and is sort of the word that, seemed to resonate most with you guys, but dull, too. I just find it boring. I just don't find much in there that interests me. And again, it's purely my own taste. Here's one from Deadbolt. So, hey, I asked this before a few times, but is there any chance of doing more of those sadistic choice videos with the mysterious voice forcing you to do horrible things, only starring Stuffy and the gang this time? That is something I would enjoy watching. That is a really funny idea, but the problem is I think I could only get, at most, one video out of that, because the thing is, the sadistic choice videos were all about making fun of the nerd arguments that we all have. Those of us who are interested in kind of nerdy subjects, which Star Trek captain is the best. These completely pointless arguments that we have with each other. And Stuffy, his character is such that he's not interested in that. He doesn't attach any importance to those things. He's far too sensible to possibly care or even have a strong preference for a particular Star Trek captain. That stuff doesn't matter to him. He doesn't really have those frivolous interests. And that idea, that sort of juxtaposition of putting Stuffy in that situation where he is forced to make this sadistic choice that for him is not sadistic at all, that would be funny, I think. That could be really funny, but I think you can only do that once. I don't think it can be a series. And as for the other stuffed animals, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe if you force Toby Benson to choose between, I don't know, heroin and cocaine, maybe he would have trouble. But I don't know. But it is a really funny idea. Band for Fun asks, what is your best foreign language? If you are horrible at all foreign languages, what's your favorite foreign country/culture? My best foreign language is English, and my favorite foreign non-Western culture is Japanese. During the course of my educational career in public school and then later in college, I actually took classes in 3 different foreign languages and got decent grades in all of them. I took Latin, I took Spanish, and I took German. And I did well in the classes. I have almost no recall today of any of it. The most I can say is that the Latin classes and the German classes have helped me to recognize root words in a lot of English words, you know. And I mean, I'm not sorry I took the classes, but I can't speak really a word of German. I can't speak Spanish, you know. I can't speak Latin or read or write Latin or anything. I mean, I just, and maybe part of that is just that once I was done with the classes, I just let it go. You know, I didn't follow it up. I wasn't really passionate about maintaining it, and it just kind of left me. But I just don't think I have much of a head for it. Maybe because I started too late. I don't know. I don't have a head for foreign languages like at all. So my best foreign language, there isn't one. You know, there just isn't one. I'm doomed, I'm afraid, to be a monoglot. Firefly 4F4. Since actual interesting questions are escaping my mind at the moment, I'll go for a silly one instead. Camaro, Mustang, or Challenger? Not much of a car person, I have to say, but given those choices, I would say Camaro. Because I remember my dad telling me once that his dream car when he was growing up was a 1960-something Camaro. And they are really nice looking cars. Again, I'm not a car person. I'm certainly not a sports car person. But, you know, my mom owned a Mustang for a while, and it didn't really strike me as anything all that special. I've never ridden or driven a Challenger, but I would go Camaro. I would go Camaro. When I was growing up, when I was a kid, my favorite car, like my dream car, was a 1963 Corvette Stingray with a rear split window, a split window in the rear window. And I had a little model of it, like a little toy version of it. And I just thought that was the coolest, most beautiful car I had ever seen. And now I don't really give a fuck. Now as an adult, I don't really care. I'm not that into cars. But when I was little, when I was maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you know, the 66 Corvette Stingray. Ooh, didn't get any better than that. Stimuli. Dear Steve, I don't trust people that never laugh. What makes you laugh? I don't mean in a snarky, creationists think they know science kind of way. I mean laugh out loud until your face hurts and you can't breathe, so you start making dolphin noises funny. Movies, TV shows, 700 Club. Oh, lots of stuff makes me laugh. Stuff that I've talked about already, either on one of these videos or previous stuff that I've done. I mean, Mystery Science Theater to me is just incredibly funny. And such a great premise, you know, it's like you're sitting with these people and watching the bad movie together and they're making fun of it. It's just one of the best things ever to me. Louis C.K. is hilarious. Mike Birbiglia to me is hilarious. Is like genius level. Those guys are like geniuses to me. More generally speaking, I love uncomfortable pauses, uncomfortable silences. Like the Office, the BBC version of The Office, the original Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais is another one. Ricky Gervais is just a genius to me. But yeah, I know a lot of people really don't like that sort of Office style of comedy. The comedy of humiliation, the comedy of the uncomfortable. But I am a total sucker for it. I love the moment in those types of shows when someone will say something, he'll go just a little bit too far, and then as he's saying it, he'll realize that he has gone too far, and it sort of trails off into this really just deadly uncomfortable silence. I think that is hysterical. That kind of stuff just makes me roll. And also really, really dark humor. Like when jokes are told that make fun of things that you would never think to make fun of, unless you're a sicko like me. And again, the fact that the jokes are so dark and go to such a taboo place makes them even funnier than they ordinarily would be if they were similarly constructed jokes about a safer topic. I mean, that kind of thing is just... It just gets me. You know, like some of my favorite Louis C.K. stuff is when he talks about being a parent, being a single parent and raising his kids, and he goes to such incredibly dark places when he's telling these stories about his children, about how there's one bit he does where he talks about how it irritates him when he senses that his daughters don't trust him because he feels like he's earned their trust a million times by now, because if he really wanted to hurt them, all he would have to do is go like this when they were asleep for 30 seconds and it would be over. I mean, just that, you know, really, just really black, dark humor. And jokes told at really desperate moments, you know, trying to mine humor out of really dark times, either in real life or in, you know, situations on film and television. I love that. And bad jokes left to die. It's sort of the same thing as the uncomfortable pause style, but when a bad joke that is just left to sit there, you know, and the death of the bad joke is funny to me. That actually makes the bad joke funny. Those are some of the things that make me laugh. And Airplane, that's a funny movie. Matt Lawrence, Steve Shives, what is or was your opinion of the Occupy Wall Street movement? I was a supporter of the Occupy Wall Street movement. I supported their goals as much as I could discern them, but overall, I'm disappointed in the movement because it didn't ultimately go anywhere. I mean, it was compared to the Tea Party when it first began, and I thought that was, I mean, I understand where the comparison came from, but I thought it was an unfair comparison at the time, because I felt like these Occupy Wall Street guys actually had the courage of their convictions. They were actually going out and standing in the street and protesting. They weren't just going to organized rallies and holding up signs and then going home and going on with their day like the Tea Party folks were. They were actually digging in and doing civil disobedience. And I really, truly admired that about them. But now, I have to say, it's still an unfair comparison to compare the Tea Party to Occupy Wall Street, but for a totally different reason, because the Tea Party actually, for better or for worse, and I would say for worse, the Tea Party actually made a difference. The Tea Party actually became an influential part of a major political party and actually was able to shift the political climate in this country in their favor. I think it was terrible. I think a lot of the reason why the Republican Party in Congress has been so just inexcusably do nothing and obstructionist and useless and impotent is because of the Tea Party. Because these guys, you know, they if they don't get 100% of their way, they just sit there and fold their arms and hold their breath until they turn blue, and they're taught to revere this recalcitrance and to despise even the very idea of compromise. They think of compromise as being something unprincipled and being a betrayal of their values and convictions. And I think it's really fucking things up, and it's a really horrible thing. But they have turned a portion of the Republican Party. They have affected the character of one of the major political parties, one of the two major political parties in this country. And Occupy Wall Street has nothing like that. Occupy Wall Street has really made almost no difference at all on a national scale. And that is a great disappointment to me. And it's their own fault, I have to say. It pains me to say that, but it's their own fault. Because they had the moment in their hand, they had the attention of the nation and the world, and they did nothing with it. They just kept doing the same thing they were doing. And eventually people just moved on because they were given that option to move on. You know, they said, okay, enough of this. You guys, you're just going to keep doing this. Okay, and they moved on. And it's a real shame. It's really too bad. Al G11297 asks, can't you do one called 5 Stupid Things About Les Miserables, the movie or the show? I've never seen so many people walking out of a movie in my adult life. Well, in order to do that, I would have to see the movie or see the show, and that is not something that I am remotely interested in doing. Farnium asks, Steve, you old whore, I have a question. I'm planning on making a new account and producing content. For the most part, I will make atheist and secular videos, but I would also like to produce more eclectic content, art, jazz, with a splattering of philosophy. So what I'm asking is, should I make 2 dedicated channels or 1 jack-of-all-trade channel? Also, as a new user, what advice would you give me? What do you wish you had known when your YouTube hymen was still nice and tight? I think I have fairly eclectic content on this channel, and I've chosen to go with just the 1 channel. I think, especially when you're first starting out, when you don't have a lot of subscribers and you don't have a lot of content, doing multiple channels can kind of divide your brand, if I can use that sort of terminology. And I've just found that I want my YouTube channel to sort of reflect my personality, you know, because there are the 5 Stupid Things videos and the mail call videos and all of the atheist content, and there's also silly stuff like the stuffed animal little short films and there movie reviews. There's a lot of eclectic content, but it all is representative, I think, of me and my personality and what I like and what I don't like, and I like that about the channel, you know. And I wouldn't want to divide it up into little sections of different things. You know, oh, if you like to hear Steve talk about atheism, go here, and if you like to hear Steve fuck around with stuffed animals, go over here. I like having it all on one channel. And I think that when you start to develop a viewership, I think you can trust your audience to be able to make their own decisions. You know, I don't think you have to filter things for them so much. You know, I occasionally get comments from people, you know, someone will watch one of the Stuffy videos and say, what is this? I subscribe to you for atheism stuff, or, you know, and that's fine. You know, and now if you're that type of person, if you only are interested in the atheism stuff, that's great. Thank you for watching that, you know, and if you don't like the Stuffy videos, you don't have to watch them. You know, and that's so I would recommend one channel and helping and using that eclectic content to build the personality of that channel. But you know, lots of people, lots of successful YouTubers have multiple channels, and it works great for them. So I mean, I can't really tell you to do one thing or the other. I'm just saying for myself, having just one channel has really worked well for me, I think, creatively. And as for what advice I would give you, I mean, try to say things that only you can say, I guess. I mean, especially if you're going to do atheism stuff and secular content, believe me, as someone who is, relatively speaking, a Johnny-come-lately to that area of YouTube, don't break your neck trying to be different just for the sake of being different. But at the same time, be mindful of the fact that there is a lot of content out there, and some of it very popular and very successful and very widely seen, dealing with these subjects. And so if you're going to delve into a subject that has already been tackled by other people, make sure that you're going to do it in a way that is unique to you. Make sure that you have your own things to say. And you're not just saying, well, gee, I'm doing an atheist channel, so I guess I had better do a video about William Lane Craig. You know, make sure that you have something of your own to say about it. And that will come through, you know, if you have an honest, individual, independent voice, that will come through, I think, in your content. And also, just on a pure technical level, lighting, man. Lighting. It doesn't matter how, I mean, if you're using a webcam, if you're using an HD video camera, whatever your camera is, that camera's capabilities will be greatly increased if you have proper lighting on your videos. That would be the recommendation I would give to every YouTuber who doesn't have it already. Get some decent lighting for your videos. And a good microphone doesn't hurt either. A good microphone would be great. But video is first and foremost a visual medium, and if you want people to watch your videos and to think that you know halfway what you're doing, good lighting is absolutely essential. Mark Arangis has this to say: I sometimes find something on the internet and think to myself, I bet that Steve Shives character would find this amusing or at least of interest. I've sent you stuff via Facebook PMs and you haven't responded. I'm not complaining, it just makes me wonder if you look at stuff, should we ever send it to you? And if so, where's the best place to send you stuff? Well, I do look at stuff when people send it to me. People send me stuff a lot, and I'm just not very good at getting back to people. Sometimes people show me stuff and I just don't really have any response to it. You know, I watch the video or I read the article or whatever, and it doesn't really strike me one way or the other, so I just don't get back to people on those things. But I do read or watch or look at pretty much everything people send me, and I appreciate it. And I don't want, I mean, please, if you have something you want to show me or something you want to share or whatever, please show it to me. And yeah, Facebook is a good way. Facebook PMs are a good way. Or, just a PM here on YouTube. That's fine too. I mean, I read pretty much everything I get. I don't delete anything unread. And if you send me something and you don't hear back from me on it, please don't take that personally. Please don't think that I'm not interested, or that you should just not send me stuff. I mean, if there's something you want me to see for whatever reason, please feel free to send it to me, and at least know, even if I don't get back to you on it, at least know that I will look at it, and that's really the best I can do. That was the last question we're going to answer today. The shout out this week goes to a fella who actually also asked a question this week. It's my old pal SiriusMined. He is the owner of an awesome channel. He is a great vlogger. He is a really sharp, incisive speaker and thinker. Great secular atheist content, great scientific content, and just a really good guy. Sirius, you're a really good dude, and you deserve a lot more attention and more subscribers than you have right now. And I hope that I can send a few more your way with this shout out. So SiriusMined, awesome channel. And if you don't know about that channel, or you haven't watched his stuff, you should check him out and subscribe to him. Well, that is it for yet another edition of You Had to Ask. And I will be back again next week to answer more of your questions. But of course, as we always say at the end of the You Had to Ask videos, before I can answer, you have to ask. So if you have any question for me at all about anything, any subject, nothing is off limits, please leave a comment on this video, ask your question, and I will answer an undetermined amount of them next week. I will answer next week if you ask this week. So if you have a question, please leave a comment and ask on this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you for asking such great questions. I always get more questions than I can actually use in the video, and that is awesome. You guys are the best. I have the best audience, the best subscribers, better than I would have ever dreamed I would ever have when I started doing this YouTube stuff. So I really, really appreciate it. And I will be back next week to talk to you some more. I'll see you next week. Have a good week.